Good morning, dear Venerable Sirs, including the Most Venerable Mahanayaka Theras, the Most Venerable Professor Chinkong Nayaka Thera, His Excellency Dr. Kathleen Bogge, the President of the UNESCO General Conference, the ambassadors of the UNESCO representing various countries, ministers, members of parliament, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Venerable Dr. Bodhagama Chandima Nayaka Thera, the Chief Incumbent of the Manilwatta International Buddhist Center and the Chief Sangha Nayak of Taiwan, I am going to welcome all of you. I think this dialogue about the world peace, I think is a very important event for Sri Lankans because Sri Lanka is experiencing a peace now, and also we have to inculcate the concept of peace and practice among the people. I think for that we have to have a dialogue among the different faiths, and I think this is a great opportunity for us to have that discussion. I think we are very thankful to Venerable Dr. Bodhagama Chandima Thera for preparing this ground for us to discuss about that, and Manilwatta International Buddhist Center has provided all facilities for us to discuss about that. Therefore, on behalf of Venerable Dr. Bodhagama Chandima Nayaka Thera, I warmly and respectfully welcome the Most Venerable Nayaka Theras and the Most Venerable Professor Chinkong Nayaka Thera and His Excellency Dr. Kathleen Bogge, the President of the UNESCO General Conference, the ambassadors of the UNESCO representing various countries, ministers, members of parliament, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, all of you are welcome to the International Center of Buddhist Studies at Manilwatta Temple. I welcome respectfully and friendly and cordially all of you on behalf of Venerable Dr. Chandima Nayaka Thera, Bodhagama Chandima Nayaka Thera, the Chief Sangha Nayak of Taiwan, the Chief Incumbent of the International Educational Center at Manilwatta. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We will now have a prayer for world peace. And these prayers will be conducted by 4 religious dignitaries. I most respectfully invite Most Venerable Velmichave Kusaladhamma Nayaka Thera, the Chancellor of University of Kelaniya, to conduct the very first prayer.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Sabbitiyo vivajjantu sabbarogo vinassatu. Mate bhavatvantarayo sukhi digayuko bhava. Bhavatu sabba mangalang rakhantu sabba devata. Sabba buddhanubhavena sada sotti bhavantu te. Bhavatu sabba mangalang rakhantu sabba devata. Sabba dhammanubhavena sada sotti bhavantu te. Bhavatu sabba mangalang rakhantu sabba devata. Sabba sanghanubhavena sada sotti bhavantu te. Jayanto bodhya mule sakyanang nandi vaddanu. Evan tuihang jayo hotu jayassu jaya mangalang. Jayanto bodhya mule sakyanang nandi vaddanu. එවං තුයිහං ජයෝ හෝතු ජයස්සු ජය මංගලං ජයන්තෝ බෝධියා මූලේ සක්යානං නන්දි වද්දනෝ එවං තුයිහං ජයෝ හෝතු ජයස්සු ජය මංගලං.
Vidyanidhi Brahmashri S. Gohananda Sharma will now conduct the prayer on behalf of Hindus and Hinduism.
हरिः ॐ गणानां त्वा गणपतिगुं हवामहे हविं हवीनाम् उभवस्वस्तवन् ज्येष्ठराजन् ब्रह्मणान् ब्रह्मणस्पतिम् आनशृण्वन् ओदिभिस्वेदसादनं सन्नो मित्रः संवर्णः सन्नो भवत्तर्यमां सन्न इन्द्रो बृहस्पतिः सन्नो विष्णुरुद्रमः नमो ब्रह्मणे नमस्ते वायो त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मासि त्वमेव प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्म वदिष्यामि रथं वदिष्यामि सद्यं वदिष्यामि तम्मामवदु तत्त्वरमवदु अवदु माम् अवदु वत्तारम् ॐ शान्तिः 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 ॐ संज्ञानं विज्ञानं न्यायद सङ्कल्पमानम् उभगिल्तं गिल्तं श्रेयो वसीय आयुष्यं भूतं भूतं चत्वकेतुः प्रभान् नाभान् सम्भान् ज्योतिष्मागस्तेजस्वः न तपः पुस्तपः नदि तपन् रोजनो रोजमान शोभन शोभमान कल्याण कल्याणः तत्पुरुषाय विद्महे अघोराय धीमहि तन्नो रुद्र प्रचोदयात् रणम्बिकाय विद्महे महातपाय धीमहि तन्नो गौरी प्रचोदयात् नारायणाय विद्महे वासुदेवाय धीमहि तन्नो विष्णु प्रचोदयात् महालक्ष्मी च विद्महे विष्णुपत्नी च धीमहि तन्नो लक्ष्मी प्रचोदयात् हरिः ॐ. I pray the International Religious Conference and the Culture Conference the success with the blessing of all the gods. Sarva Mangalani Bhavantu. Harihi Om.
May I now invite a dignitary from Mahayana sector to come to the stage for the prayer.
First, I will pray for the harmony of the world on behalf of Venerable Master Jin Kong and all the followers from around the world. I will read aloud the Infinite Life Sutra, one paragraph, as my prayer. Wherever the Buddha's teachings flourish, either in cities and countryside, people will gain inconceivable benefits. The land and people will be enveloped in peace. The sun and moon will shine clear and bright. The wind arises and rain falls at the right time. There is no calamity or epidemic, and the country is wealthy and its people enjoy peace. Weapons are not in use, and people esteem virtue, practice benevolence, and diligently cultivate courteous modesty. There is no thief in the country, and no one is wrongly accused. Those who are strong in power do not bully others, and all people enjoy their lives in great harmony. This is the portrait of the great harmony in Buddhism. Therefore, wherever Buddhist education flourishes, it brings happiness, harmony, stability, and peace. Thank you.
As a dignitary of the Muslim religion, I now very respectfully invite Malawi Nizamin to conduct a prayer for peace.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الرحمن الرحيم. مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. آمين.
සාමය ළඟා කිරීම සඳහා සර්ව ආගමික පූජකවරු හැටියට අපි අද එක්රොක් වෙලා ඉන්නවා. අතමිතා සතුටු දවසක් රජවල් වලින් ලෝකයේ විසින් සාමය ඇති කිරීමට උත්සාහ කළත් ඇත්තම ඒක ආගමික තුලින් තමයි නියම සාමය ඇති කරන්න පුළුවන්. එවැනි උත්සාහයක් තමයි මේ ඉදිරිපත් වෙලා ඉන්න අවස්ථාවක මුස්ලිම් පූජකයෙකු හැටියට අපි සර්ව බලධාරී අල්ලාහ් තාලාගේ ආසින්දනය මේ සමළුවට ලැබේවා කියා ප්‍රාර්ථනා කරමි. ආමීන්.
Father Sarat Hettiarachchi will now conduct a prayer for sake of world peace.
Let us be in silence in the presence of God. අපි මොහොතක් දෙවි සමිඳුන් තුළ නිශ්චලව සිටිමු. Let us pray for this program, organizers, guests, and all the participants. මේ මොහොතේදී මෙම සාමය සඳහා වන වැඩසටහන ගැන අපි ආඥා කරමු. සංවිධායකවරුන්, සියලු ආරාධිත අමුත්තන්, ඒ වගේම සියලු සහභාගීත්වය සපයන්නා වූ අයවලුන් මේ හැම දෙනෙකු උදෙසා ආඥා කරමු. Let us pray for the peace in our world. අපේ ජගත් රටවල් අතර, ලෝකේ රටවල් අතර, ලෝක ජනතාව අතර සාමය උදෙසා අපි ආඥා කරමු. We pray for the peace in Sri Lankan pluralistic society. ශ්‍රී ලාංකේය බහුවිධ සමාජයේ සාමය උදෙසා අපි ආඥා කරමු. O Lord God, guide us, lead us, strengthen us to stand our own feet. දෙවි සමිඳුනි, වහන්සේ අපව බලවත් කරන්න, ශක්තිමත් කරන්න, ධෛර්යය සපයන්න, අපේම පාදවලින් අපට එක්ව සිට ගැනීම සඳහා. May the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, love of God, and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with us all. පියාණන්ගේ පුත්‍රයාණන්ගේ ශුද්ධාත්මයාණන්ගේ නාමයෙන් ආමෙන්.
Thank you, distinguished faith leader, for your prayer. Ladies and gentlemen, we will start today's program by inviting Venerable Dean Hong to deliver a speech, A Journey to Peace, from Vision to Reality. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Venerable Dean Hong.
දර්ශනයෙන් යථාර්ථයේ සාමය කරා යන ගමන මේ පිළිගන්න පූජ්‍ය ඩීන් හොං ස්වාමීන් වහන්සේ.
Most respected Venerable Jin Kong, Venerable Master Shanti Ma, Venerable Masters of our Sri Lanka Buddhist communities, respected religious leaders, and all the distinguished guests, especially our distinguished excellencies, ambassadors from UNESCO, Mrs. Kathleen Bobbier, President of the General Conference of UNESCO, and good afternoon to all of you. Amitofo. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak about the theme on the intercultural interfaith dialogues. This has been the teaching of our most venerable master Jin Kong, our great teacher for years. And I have the fortune and privilege of following him, studying under his guidance for 20 years. And I wish to take 15 minutes to share some of my learning under his guidance on building peace through interfaith dialogues, uniting religions, and promoting religious education. As we all know, we are facing crises in the world. There are all kinds of natural crises like tsunamis, earthquakes, etc. And also we are facing man-made disasters like wars, terrorism, etc. What are the root causes of this crisis? In Buddhism, we learn that the root causes is not outside, but is in here. It's in our mind. It is in the mind that crises are created. When we have the greed, the hatred or anger, and ignorance or delusion, these bad thoughts, evil thoughts, will give rise to crisis. Buddha taught us that the entire universe is just the creation of our mind. So in order to change the world, to change the universe, we should start with changing our mind. So therefore, the teaching of the Buddha and also all the distinguished sages in our history of the mankind are very important ways to eliminate crisis and save our world. And that's why our Venerable Master Jin Kong has been promoting this sage education. Buddhism itself is the education. The relationship between the Buddha and us is the teacher and student relation. So we learn after the Buddha, and we all have the Buddha nature. It is just a matter of recovering our Buddha nature. So last year, I decided to resign my position and follow Master and engage in the full-time teaching in Buddhism and also in traditional cultural education. I see this as my mission because now I understand the cause of the crisis and I want to do something for the humanity. I view this as the mission as a Buddhist. And Master taught us, in order to save the world from the turmoils, we should start with uniting the religions, because the religious people have learned more values, more moral values from their religious scriptures. If we can unite these alliance, then we will be able to have more power to change the world. Can religions be united? Yes, definitely. If you look at the history of China, back 1300 years ago in Tang Dynasty, we see that the emperor of Tang Dynasty, Tang Taizong, has successfully united the religions. At the time, Islam was introduced in China, and Christian faith was also introduced in China. The emperor had the broad mind and embraced all these foreign religions. Of course, Buddhism itself was the foreign faith or foreign religion at the time. And the emperor was successful in uniting all these different faiths and integrate these foreign faiths into the traditional culture of Confucianism and Taoism, etc. So this has been a very successful example back hundreds of years ago. Now we can see in Toowoomba, we have our distinguished fellow faith leaders coming all the way from Toowoomba. They have been working very hard together to get along with each other and discuss our faith and discuss the ways to promote the religious education towards the citizens in Toowoomba. We all have a common goal to build a model city of peace and harmony and hopefully set an example for the rest of the world to see that religions can be united. And the ways are, first, we need to study our own religion diligently, understand our own religion first, before we can understand the other religions. Then we can see that all these religions are in fact the teachings of the same power of the universe. Christians may call it the God, Islam may call it Allah, and we call it the Buddha nature, is such a, regardless of what you call it, we refer to the same source of the power. We need to seek for this power, and this is built in our mind. And we can recover it, and we can use this power and unite all the faiths and religions, and we can help the world to become much better. So the history and the current example tell us religions can be united. We should have the confidence that we are actually one family on the earth. More than that, we are one. We are one living entity. Just like the body, each of us as individual human being is the cell, one cell of the same body. And there are more than 50 trillion, if I remember correctly, 50 trillion cells in our body. And each of us is one of it. So we can unite because we are one originally. And in order to set a good example for the rest of the world to build the confidence in religion's unity, we need to build a sample city, a role model city. We are working hard to build Toowoomba, and we also hope that each country can also build a model city for harmony. About 3,200 years ago, in China, that was the dynasty of Zhou Chao. The emperor of Zhou Wenwang and Zhou Wang, were the sages. They were successfully building their own nations. At the time, the nations were just like the small towns. And all the other nations followed the practice of Zhou Wenwang's nation. And finally, Zhou Wenwang was regarded as the emperor of the entire world. At the time, the world refers to just the main parts of the China. So we can unite the world not using weapons or force, but using our virtues, like the example in Zhou dynasty. When nations got conflicts at the time, the kings of those nations went to Zhou Wenwang and seek their advice, and finally the conflicts got settled without the use of the weapons, without conflicts. So if we can build such a model city, and hopefully we build a model country of peace and harmony, this will have great influence on the world, and it will play a leading role in building peace and harmony. We are hoping that Sri Lanka can take the lead. And if this can be accepted, we of course be willing to help with our full resources. Because this is not just the matter of one country, it's the matter of our whole world, of mankind. So we should embrace all ethnic groups, all religions, and all nations. And Venerable Master has such a broad mind. That's why wherever he goes, he's well received by all faith leaders, not only Buddhist leaders, but also other faiths, and also our UNESCO ambassadors. You can see Venerable Master has no other power, but he has such a virtue, which every one of us has. He has uncovered, and we believe that all of us can uncover it as well. So let's join our hands together to build our world for its great future. We believe harmonious world can be achieved with everyone's effort. Thank you very much.
We are now ready to commence the very first session of our intercultural and interfaith peace dialogue. The moderator of this session is Professor Sumanapal Galmangora, the Director, Postgraduate Institute of Pali and Buddhist Studies, University of Helena. The theme, building a culture of peace, mobilizing community and faith organizations, the UNESCO perspective. I would like to invite the panelists who are supposed to participate in this session to please proceed to the head table. Thank you.
Good morning, Master Ching Kong. It's very nice to see you always. Thank you very much. It's a great honor to welcome the Most Venerable Chandima Thero to come to his church. Thank you very much. And I would like to invite the ambassadors who will be taking part in the panel. I would like to introduce them. The Ambassador of Oman, the Ambassador of Senegal, the Ambassador of Sudan, Nigeria, Madagascar, the Netherlands, and the Holy See. Ladies and gentlemen, I have to admit that talking about the influence of religion or faith in history of humankind is a complex issue. Religion has often been used to fuel extremism, intolerance, and violence. The diversity of the faith of the people of the world has all too often been utilized to mark and accentuate our differences, as the histories of crusades, of religion wars show. This is precisely why we are here today, to open up to each other, to facilitate free exchange of ideas and thoughts across the religious boundaries, to learn from each other and to harness the tremendous transformative power of religion and spirituality, and to use it as an instrument of peace. And what better interface platform could it be than here today, meeting you and having the ambassadors from more than 20 countries with us. In the West, a growing secularization of societies after the Enlightenment and the separation of church and state, we realized, and countries led some to in these countries led some to believe that as the world grew more modern, religion would decline. But today, we know that precisely the opposite has proven true. Religious movements are surging and driving alternative globalizations across the world, and the trend of growing religions is likely to continue in the foreseeable future. In fact, religion has played a very central role in the political developments on the European continent, for example, in the last century. The role of the Church in fostering post-war Franco-German reconciliation is well documented. The struggle of the countries that found themselves to the east of the Iron Curtain against totalitarianism often had strong religious overtones, and the desire of people to freely express their spirituality and practice the faith of their ancestors has been at the heart of many national liberation movements. Religion and faith have, of course, played a prominent role in the peace and reconciliation efforts in non-Western societies. As we share our thoughts and ideas here today with you, I call on you to think together of how to harness the unifying potential of faith. Venerable Masters, dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, my colleagues will be speaking in English and will be speaking in French. The French will be translated from the podium, and of course the English from, I think, through the earphones. So now I would like to ask to start our special session, meaning thinking together and sharing experiences. It will be first the ambassador of Oman. So I would like her to come here to share her experiences and talk about Islam to us. Thank you very much.
Islam, the path to peace and reconciliation. Bismillah. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you. As a Muslim, I offer this greeting even when I enter my empty house, and also when I encounter others, such as you, my fellow human beings. I salute you in this manner as a sign of goodwill, mutual respect, tranquility, serenity, stability, non-aggression, and happiness. These are principles very dear to us all as people, and to me as a believer, as a Muslim. They ensure a peaceful coexistence in times of peace and following a return to peace and coexistence. Salam, or peace, is a goal that most human beings and most of the world religions, be it Islam, Christianity, Buddhism, Judaism, Hinduism, and so forth, endlessly pursue. For without peace, there can be no happiness, nor welfare, no prosperity, nor progress. In the Quran, Iqra, we are told to proclaim, read, in order to acquire knowledge or enlightenment. That too is something that most people and world religions seek. Salam, peace, is an attribute of God, and it is also a synonym for paradise, a place where many believers aspire to as their eternal home. Islam is a peace-loving religion with a merciful God that advocates justice and tolerance, as well as peaceful coexistence. as history and the Quran demonstrates. As far back as the 7th century, after Muhammad, be peace upon him, vanquished Mecca, he advocated peace, justice, mercy, and forgiveness. Indeed, it is written that God prefers love and friendship between all and is most forgiving, most merciful. Furthermore, believers are urged to accept other faiths and its practitioners. They are also expected to accept diversity in order to promote greater understanding and a peaceful coexistence. These are all features of Islam that continue to be relevant to us in the 21st century as we chose the path of multiculturalism in our various countries. We do this by social acceptance of differences of all sorts in our society, and by having legislation that promotes acceptance of diversity. Believers are also urged to reconcile with those people who have wronged them and to ensure that they are just and tolerant, because all people are created equal before God. As mentioned earlier, Muhammad, peace be upon him, did this in the 7th century, and so did Umar bin Khattab, second Muslim Caliphate of the Islamic State, who conquered Rome and Persia. Like Muhammad, peace be upon him, he commanded his people to show mercy and be tolerant, ensuring that human dignity of the conquered peoples. He mandated that the personal and material security, as well as the freedom of religious practices of the conquered, be ensured. Multiculturalism and the embrace of diversity in Islam is highly evident, for instance, in the diverse people performing the Hajj, for instance, in Mecca a few days ago. In conclusion, it is evident that advocating for equality of humanity, justice, tolerance, forgiveness, and peaceful coexistence is the true path to a more harmonious 21st world community. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. And now I would like to ask Monsignor Follo to come and share his views. He is the representative of the Holy See at UNESCO. Thank you very much.
I try to speak in English, even the diplomatic language of the Vatican, the Holy See, is French. But above all, thank you for Master, thank you, Mrs. Catilin. I would like to say only three simple thoughts. First, the importance of a tradition. Because in my opinion, there is no shock of civilization, but there is a shock of ignorances. But not only because I don't know the other religions or the other cultures, but because often we don't know our tradition. If I look at the young people, they don't know Christianity or Buddhism or Islam. And so the first, I am very grateful to Master to underline that peace can be built by education. And the first hypothesis of good education is not only an information, but a formation through starting from tradition, because it's the first hypothesis of living where I am. If I am in Sri Lanka, in a Buddhist family, first I have to know my tradition. If I am Christian, the same. And in this case, not only school it is important, but also family. It is first step where I learn my tradition not as a treasure to keep a secret, but like an heritage to develop. Tradition is not only like a chain which pull us back, but to push us forward. The second thing I propose and I want to share with you is this, the importance of the family and of the teacher, because without a teacher who is not like a computer which give us some news, but the teacher give us has an authority. In Latin, authority comes from augere, which means grow up. A teacher or a parent, or it doesn't matter who is who has to share his knowledge and his experience, has this task to grow the others up. I am an authority not because I have the power, but through my knowledge, through my experience, I share you and I allow you to grow up. This is the task of authority. It's not a power in front of whom you have to bend yourself, but is a service by which you can let the others grow up. The third meaning for in my view of the Catholic education, but in my opinion is universal education, is the verification. When a student or a pupil, it doesn't matter the age, has learned his or her own heritage and tradition through a good master who is an authority as a service, he has to verify, to personalize. And so in my opinion in the school we need this kind of method. Tradition, authority, teacher, and verification. Our young people, they don't need only to have a lot of information, because otherwise they are lost. They need a sentence, and this is given by the tradition and authority. But they have to personalize what they learn, and if they learn what their tradition is, they have an identity, and they can be peaceful. I conclude with a last example. There is a well-known philosopher in France, Levinas, who said that identity is not a sickness. If I have an identity, I can have a dialogue with the others. And dialogue, allow me the last word, is not to speak each other is enough. Dialogue means a word which goes to the others and comes back. So what is we are doing today is a word which comes from me or from the other intervenant, and he goes forward to you and he comes back. A real dialogue is this sharing of wisdom, to have our identity and to be enriched by your typical tradition. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Monsignor. Now I would like to ask His Excellency, the Ambassador of Senegal, to come and to make his intervention. Thank you. He will be going to speak in French, so you can put your translators' machines.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Je voudrais partager avec vous ce matin l'expérience du Sénégal en matière de dialogue interreligieux. Je voudrais vous dire d'abord que le Sénégal compte une population à 95% de musulmans, pour 4% de chrétiens, généralement catholiques, et 1% d'animistes. Cette dernière religion, l'animisme, est la religion originelle et traditionnelle du Sénégal. Elle attribue une âme à tous les êtres, les plantes, les animaux, les objets. Voilà. Pour les animistes, 4 éléments fondamentaux composent la nature, que sont l'eau, la terre, l'air et le feu. Ce sont chacun sous le contrôle spécifique d'un Dieu intermédiaire ayant une fonction particulière. L'animisme peut être vu ainsi comme une relation triangulaire entre la nature et les êtres humains et le sacré. Au fil de l'histoire, l'animisme a cédé le pas, le terrain, aux religions monothéistes alives que sont l'islam et le christianisme. En ce qui concerne l'islam, il a été introduit au Sénégal entre le 11e et le 12e siècle dans le contexte du commerce caravanier transsaharien par les Almoravides, une dynastie berbère mort originaire de l'Adrar et qui nomadisait entre l'actuel Sénégal et le sud marocain. Le christianisme, quant à lui, est arrivé au Sénégal avec les missions évangélistes européennes, principalement françaises, dans le 15e et 16e siècle. Donc la principale religion du Sénégal est l'islam. Ce qui est intéressant, c'est que nous avons un islam assez particulier, au moins à 3 points de vue. Le premier aspect est qu'il se fonde sur des confréries qui sont au nombre de 4. La Khadriya, la Tidjaniya, la Mouridiya et les Layènes. Dont on ne trouve que certaines au Sénégal. Il y en a 2, c'est-à-dire il y a 2 confréries qu'on ne trouve qu'au Sénégal, la Mouridiya et les Layènes, tandis que pour la Khadriya et la Tidjaniya, on les trouve un peu partout en Afrique de l'Ouest et au nord de l'Afrique. Les confréries regroupent les musulmans autour d'un guide commun qu'on appelle le marabout ou le calife général calife. Celui-ci transmet à ses fidèles une méthode de pratique religieuse appelée la tariqa. Alors la deuxième particularité est que l'islam est pratiqué dans le cadre d'un dialogue permanent avec le christianisme. Le mot dialogue me paraît un peu faible parce qu'on peut parler d'imbrication, une imbrication sociale et sociologique entre les 2 religions. Et je voudrais citer 3 exemples pour l'illustrer. Le premier exemple est qu'au sein d'une même famille, on peut trouver à la fois des musulmans et des chrétiens. C'est le cas de Monseigneur Hyacinthe Thiandoum, qui fut le premier cardinal sénégalais et dont le frère même, de même père et de même mère, était imam de mosquée. Le deuxième exemple est que l'ancien président, le premier président du Sénégal, Léopold Sédar Senghor, que tout le monde connaît, était chrétien, sa femme aussi chrétienne, et malgré cela, il a toujours gagné toutes les élections face à ses opposants musulmans et avec toujours le soutien des marabouts, des chefs religieux de différentes confréries. Le troisième exemple est que toutes les principales religions, les 2 que j'ai citées, célèbrent en même temps les fêtes religieuses que sont principalement Noël et l'Aïd el-Kébir. Pour conclure, ce que j'ai essayé de vous dire est que le Sénégal est un pays qui revendique son caractère musulman, son caractère profondément musulman, où cohabitent 3 religions dans une harmonie totale. 3 religions qui se vouent un respect total et réciproque, vécu dans les familles et dans toutes les sphères sociales. Mon pays est donc ouvert à toutes les initiatives dans le sens de surmonter les crises à travers le monde par l'éducation et les forats interreligieux et partant induire la paix et une société harmonieuse comme le suggère l'UNESCO et le Pure Land Learning College sous l'égide du très vénérable Master Chim Kung. Je rêve aussi d'une édition d'interface, qu'une édition interface puisse un jour être organisée au Sénégal. It will allow to us to know better Buddhism and other religion and faiths still unknown in Africa, in this part of Africa. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. And now I would like to ask my dear friend, the Ambassador of Nigeria to UNESCO, to share her views and her experiences with all of us.
The special guest of honor, our dear Venerable, Your Excellency, the President of the General Conference, ambassadors, permanent delegates, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. Permit me to start by thanking the government of Sri Lanka for the kind invitation to bring us together in the quest for fellowship, dialogue, and the exchange of thoughts and experiences in this important intercultural and interfaith peace dialogue. One subject that undoubtedly unites us all here today is education, and I'm sure that I can allow myself the liberty of assuming that for most of us, education has been a lifelong concern and commitment. The preamble to the UNESCO Constitution widely affirms that it is in the minds of men and women, of course, that the defenses of peace must be constructed. What greater crisis can we dream up than conflict, wars, brutal confrontations between peoples, among nations, between neighbors, and worse, still within societies and within nations? And when these confrontations put on the garments of beliefs and religions that they have been known to bring out the very ugliest in human nature. So how do we deal with these crises, the problems of living together? How do we rid ourselves of prejudices, great and small? How do we learn to give ourselves that golden opportunity to open just a little bit of our minds and let some sunshine of tolerance and maybe a little love come in? I come from Nigeria, a country of some 160 million people. We have over 450 languages and ethnic groups, diverse cultures going back into centuries. We're full of songs and dances and a multiplicity of cultural manifestations. We have often been called the most happy people in the world and also the most religious. There is no ceremony meeting that takes place in Nigeria without an opening prayer from all faiths. Right now we're about 50% Muslims, 48% Christians, and about 2% traditional religions. But what is also true and real is that in spite of all we have to make us one united people, we have not been spared the agony of dissension in our society. We have not been saved from elements who come from time to time to rise against the society and choose their victims in the name of one religion or the other. They spread fear and havoc and leave victims in their trail. We have fought a 30-month civil war in the late 60s. We have had the Metetsine religious uprising in the 1980s. And currently, we've been faced with the challenges posed by a sect called Boko Haram. But what I want to bring out here is that the same society that produces the intolerance that leads to dangerous conflict is also capable of producing dedicated and devoted elements that can work together in the other direction. That is for tolerance, for mutual understanding, and for the coming together of the people. Because by the nature of the people of my country, because of our diversity, multiplicity, and the richness of our culture, this same society throws up, nurtures, and produces leaders who by their work and their lives are dedicated to the work of striving to bring people together, to work against intolerance, hatred, and religious antagonism. I offer you just one example. When the Nigeria Interreligious Council, this is an NGO, founded in 1999, it was very much founded in reaction to the persistent crisis of ethno-religious nature that often disturbed the peace of the nation. Its aim was to serve as a platform for high-level dialogue between the leaders of the Christians and the Muslims. It organizes conferences designed to promote understanding, appreciation of one another, and the generation of mutual respect between Christians and Muslims. The council is made up of 25 Christians and 25 Muslim leaders, and currently co-chaired by the Sultan of Sokoto, who is the Amirul Mu'minin, and the president of the Christian Association of Nigeria, Dr. John Onaikan, who incidentally has just been named a cardinal by the Pope. Now, in its quest for peace, NIREC organizes youth summits as a way of training the young people on mutual coexistence, religious tolerance and harmony, and interfaith dialogue. It also informs, teaches, and tries to calm the society at large during periods of crisis, including even those whose business it is to spread terror. The coming together of these leaders in itself is a monumental lesson and a good example for the followers and also for the generality of the people. However, there are several challenges that we're facing and this committee is facing. First, the politicization of religion for political gains. The politicians use religion in one form or another for their own selfish ends. There is also the erosion of the spiritual leadership of our traditional leaders. Normally the emirs, the Amirul Mu'minin, are supposed to be the spiritual leaders, spiritual and religious leaders. So also the church leaders, but you find that there is some inadequacy in terms of this leadership. Another challenge is, I told you we have two main religions. Now, when the two religions are clashing, who acts as a mediator? There is a gap. Who will act to talk to both sides? We also have an issue, which is a cultural issue, of the secular versus indigenous syndrome. Some people come to settle in a community and they are given a space, maybe far away from where the traditional inhabitants are. After generations, these settlers also want to be part and parcel of this society. And there you begin to see some tensions and some conflicts. Last challenge is the role of the media. What role does the media play in fanning the embers of religious and other conflicts? In a lot of cases, the media takes the conflict depending on who pays the piper and it blows it out, and we see the thing on television and without verifying you hear a lot of conflicts here and there. I have proposed 6 suggestions. Most of them are directed at UNESCO, which is the organization that we're speaking from. First of all, education. The right education is like good nourishment for the mind. In the right hands, education and information can work wonders. But in the wrong hand, it spreads great disaster. Secondly, I'm recommending that UNESCO should strengthen the culture of peace program and include flagship programs which promote the principles of learning to live together and curriculum enrichment to include the teaching of tolerance to our young ones. Thirdly, we need to revive and strengthen UNESCO clubs and associations and the ASPINET, as well as our partnerships with the parliamentarians. UNESCO needs to support the emergence of more community-based NGOs and faith-based organizations so that they can fulfill their mandates. At the tertiary level, we need to encourage training, that is in universities and so on, training in peace studies and conflict resolution, so as to have a critical mass of professionals who can provide early warning on potential conflict situations and be able to, if needs be, become objective mediators. Lastly, I'm recommending the training of journalists and the media in professional ethics and responsible reporting. I thank you for your kind attention, and may God bless us all.
Thank you very much. More and more voices representing the word and the word peace. Now I'm asking to share the experiences and the views of the Ambassador of Sudan. Thank you very much.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Venerable Master Professor Chinkung, the very revered religious dignitaries, honorable staff officials of Sri Lanka, Her Excellency Mrs. Katrina Bogaya, Excellent ambassadors, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols preserved. The topic I would like to share with you is entitled The Culture of Peace in Sudan and the Role of UNESCO. The term culture of peace was first coined and used in 1989 during the International Congress on Peace in the Minds of Men, which was held in Yamoussoukro, Côte d'Ivoire, and which witnessed the creation of the Houphouët-Boigny Peace Prize. The idea was then adopted by UNESCO General Conference, which is established in 1993, a program for the culture of peace for the first time within the regular programs and budget of the organization. Over the past 2 decades, this concept has come a long way and has been gaining a progressive momentum ever since, albeit with certain difficulties and some discontinuity. Thus, in 1994, Federico Mayor, the former Director General of UNESCO, launched an international appeal on the establishment of a right to peace. In February 1994, UNESCO launched its Towards a Culture of Peace program, and also in 1994, El Salvador hosted the first international conference on the culture of peace, while the second one was held in Manila, Philippines in 1995. In 1997, the United Nations General Assembly declared the year 2000 as the International Year of the Culture of Peace. And in 1998, the same assembly declared the period from 2001 to 2010 as the International Decade for a Culture of Peace and Non-Violence for the Children of the World. The expression culture of peace, as one UNESCO relevant document published in 1999 indicated, implies that peace in fact means much more than the absence of war, and that peace is considered, and I quote, a set of values, attitudes, and modes of behavior promoting the peaceful settlement of conflicts and the quest for mutual understanding. In fact, peace is one way to live together, unquote. However, from a practical point of view, or as a community-based and targeting practice, a culture of peace program is that one which includes a specific set of social development activities aimed at peace building, as well as enhancing a peaceful social coexistence and interaction within a certain community. A number of UNESCO member states have benefited from the UNESCO Culture of Peace programs, such as El Salvador, the Philippines, Somalia, Sudan, Burundi, Rwanda, Mozambique, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Afghanistan, and others. However, as regards my country, the Sudan in particular, I would like to stress that Sudan was one of the first countries that have associated with the UNESCO program for the culture of peace. Thus, in April 1995, the former Director General of UNESCO, Mr. Federico Mayor, visited Khartoum when he took part in the regional conference on the culture of peace, a conference in which delegations from Chad, the Central African Republic, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Uganda, Kenya, Ethiopia, and Eritrea participated, besides Dr. Salim Ahmed Salim, the then Secretary General of the Organization of African Unity. Moreover, that Khartoum Regional Conference on the Culture of Peace paved the way for the creation of a number of centers, think tanks, NGOs, and civil society organizations inside the Sudan, which all started to deal with and practice the idea of the culture of peace, such as, among others, the Peace Research Center of the University of Khartoum, and the Peace Research Center of the University of Juba, and the Peace Research Center of the University of Delhi. besides the establishment of UNESCO chairs in the area of the culture of peace in a number of Sudanese universities. Furthermore, having acquainted himself with the political and intellectual elites of the Sudan at that time, including the President Omar al-Bashir during his visit to Khartoum on the occasion of the aforementioned regional conference, Mr. Mayor and UNESCO took the initiative of organizing the Barcelona Symposium on the fundamental problems in the Sudan, which was held in Barcelona, Spain, from 23rd to 26th September 1995. The participants in that symposium were a delegation of 15 members representing the government of Sudan, led by Dr. Ghazi Salahuddin, the then advisor to the President of the Republic, and another delegation composed of also 15 members representing the SPLA-SPLM, that is the Sudan People's Liberation Movement, and led by Mr. Pagana Mom, Secretary General of the SPLA-SPLM at that time, besides some resource persons and other delegations of UNESCO, under whose auspices the whole event was held. The Barcelona meeting, which took place thanks to the initiative of UNESCO, was indeed held at a very crucial moment in the evolution of the conflict between the Sudan government and the former rebel movement of the South Sudan, when dialogue and all contacts were virtually stopped. Therefore, it was UNESCO which took the initiative of re-establishing the contacts, brought the two parties together, and convinced them to re-engage in informal discussions about the fundamental issues, especially those related to UNESCO's mandate, such as education, culture, culture of peace, identity, cultural diversity and democracy, and all related to the issues of governance, tolerance, and relations and responsible citizenship. The outcome of that very important encounter of Barcelona was the Barcelona Declaration, which was indeed a landmark document in the sense that it underlined the necessity of respecting and preserving the cultural, religious, and linguistic diversity of the people of the Sudan, a principle which is to be reflected later on by the Comprehensive Peace Agreement, as well as by the Transitional Constitution of the Sudan of 2000 and 2005, respectively. So we wouldn't be exaggerating if we said that the Barcelona meeting of 1995 did play an essential role in breaking the ice and in removing the psychological barrier between the Sudan government and the SPLA-SPLM, as well as in preparing the ground for all the subsequent rounds of negotiations which took place between the two parties and which were crowned by the conclusion of the Comprehensive Peace Agreement signed in Naivasha, Kenya on the 9th of January 2005, thus bringing to an end what is often described as the longest armed conflict in the African continent. UNESCO's role was further extended to the areas of sectoral educational reform, interreligious and intercommunity dialogue, as well as preservation of cultural heritage. To conclude and to say a few words about the way forward in this topic, I would like to say that in the presence of the current state of turmoil and instability happening all over the world, we firmly believe that the necessity of reinvigorating and disseminating the culture of peace is needed more than any time in the past. However, we have the following recommendations and proposals to put forward. One, on education, we believe that it is imperative to further reinforce education for the culture of peace and tolerance. Two, revisit the issues of cultural, linguistic, and religious diversity. Three, enhancing interreligious dialogue. Four, deepening the reflection on the appropriate ways and means of dealing with extremism by means other than the use of force and violence solely. Five, the promotion of the culture of accountability and mutual dialogue on the issues of identity, diversity, equity, and justice from a culture of peace perspective. Six, promotion of free, responsible, and accountable communication and media institutions with the aim of enhancing the culture of peace. And last but not least, the discourse of the culture of peace should be diversified and balanced, and should not be only directed towards the developing countries and communities, as it now virtually is, but it should also include the advanced countries of the world as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It is really wonderful to listen to personal experiences. We are talking about harmony, we are talking building peace, but how can it be done in different parts of the world? This is what we are trying to show you, really. And I'm very happy that we heard about the role of UNESCO as a main peace-building organization. Now I would like to ask an ambassador who is representing Western Europe and Northern America as the president of the so-called Electoral Group 2, who is himself the Group 1, sorry, one of course, who is himself the ambassador of the Netherlands. Your Excellency, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here because the issue that we are considering today is, in my view, at the core of UNESCO's mission. As was already referred to by my friend and colleague, the ambassador of Nigeria, after World War II, UNESCO was created considering that war stemmed from the minds of men. I must say that at the time it was largely men that called the shots, but in that respect I think we have already made quite some progress, because now we see that women play a much larger role than at the time. But in any case, the idea was that through cooperation in the field of culture, education and science, it would be possible, it should be possible to enhance understanding between the wide variety of peoples in the world, and that education in particular could be a very important tool in creating more knowledge, but also awareness. I should say that initially, indeed, culture, education and science were the main fields, but that later on communication and information were added. And I think it's important to mention that because this is also a very important element in what we discuss today. And various speakers before me have already mentioned the importance of information. This is if we look at recent history, even Western Europe has been confronted with a lot of religious strife. In my own country, it is only until relatively recently that Christians were very much divided, in particular Catholics and Protestants. And what we have experienced in recent times, in previous centuries, is very similar to what we see, unfortunately, today still in Northern Ireland, where Catholics and Protestants have to come to terms with one another. I'm confident that they will achieve that, but it is a painful process, and all have to make gestures and have to show willingness to come to a better understanding and appreciation and respect. A relatively new phenomenon is the President of the General Conference already referred to it, an increasing secularization in Western Europe. And I would say that we have a number of religions here in front of us. One, what cannot be called a religion, but humanism, is another way of looking at values and questions that religions also deal with. And humanism, those who follow, or could say adhere to that, adhere to a very large extent to the same values that religions adhere to. After all, humanists have not come from Mars, but they have grown up and in a tradition that is based on a religious life in the past. Now, while we witness this phenomenon of less people being religious in Western Europe, we at the same time see that immigrants coming from Northern Africa in particular bring in a high commitment to their religion. And one of the challenges that we have to face today is how to harmonize these quite different approaches and enhance respect for the other side, so to speak. Because whatever we think of it, we have to build a society that where there is room for every religion and for those who are not religious to live in peace and harmony with one another. Now, one very important tool, it has been mentioned before, but I would like to emphasize it once more, is education. Education starts with learning to read and write, and mathematics follow after that. But education is not just about gathering knowledge about hard facts, and is not just aimed at passing exams in order to have a career. Education comprises values, and I think that we should make optimal use of the institutional framework that schools offer to also teach children from a very early age the values of tolerance, and also knowledge about other religions, because quite often people are just not used to look over the fence. They are restricted to their own part of society where they are not confronted with differences. And I think if you are able to get knowledge, if you are enabled to acquire knowledge about other systems of thought, other religions, other ways of looking at the world, you will benefit not only yourself, because you will have a broader view, and you will be closer to enlightenment, if I may say so, but also society as a whole will benefit, because those children who have learned from an early age that other persons with other religions are as worth their respect as the people within their own religious community, I think this will make a very important contribution to our societies. And I call upon those in every religious community to promote within their community their teachers to also bring this to children, students, so that we, in the end, not only our societies, but the world as a whole will benefit. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Most Venerable Your Excellencies, dear friends. We have got one more speaker this morning, and all the other ambassadors you are going to meet tomorrow afternoon in the UNESCO session. So we are creating a kind of UNESCO life here. Thank you very much for the possibility. Before you are coming to UNESCO, we are coming to see you here. And now I would like really to ask the Ambassador of Madagascar to share his views.
Vénérable Master Chinkong, vénérables et hauts dignitaires religieux, Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs les ambassadeurs, Excellences, représentants des ministères ici présents, Mesdames et Messieurs, chers amis. Madagascar, comme vous le savez, est un pays une île située à côté de l'Afrique. Et entre Madagascar et l'Afrique, il y a le canal de Mozambique qui fait seulement 415 km. La capitale de Madagascar s'appelle Antananarivo et souvent on appelle Madagascar l'île continent parce que c'est la 5e île dans le monde en termes de superficie, après l'Australie, le Groenland, la Nouvelle-Guinée et le Bornéo. Plus de 50% des Malgaches sont chrétiens, divisés presque également entre protestants et catholiques. Les musulmans représentent 10% de la population du pays et environ 35% pratiquent encore la religion dite traditionnelle ou culte des ancêtres. Le malgache, c'est-à-dire l'homme malgache, a ses particularités et ses originalités. En résumé, le malgache est parti d'une vieille civilisation maléo-polynésienne, mais la proximité de l'Afrique et toutes sortes de commerces et d'échanges l'ont mis en contact direct avec les civilisations arabes et africaines qui prévalaient sur les côtes est du continent noir. La philosophie de base des Malgaches est faite de tolérance et de relativisation, où les idées contraires peuvent très bien faire bon ménage et peuvent vivre ensemble. Cette tolérance et cette relativisation l'empêchent de devenir dogmatique ou extrémiste dans l'expression de sa foi. Cette philosophie ancestrale malgache est en gros basée sur 4 choses. La croyance et l'adoration de Zanahar, ou le Dieu unique créateur de l'univers depuis les temps anciens. La deuxième chose, c'est la certitude de l'immortalité de l'esprit, qui fait que les morts ne sont pas morts, mais changent seulement de statut social. La troisième chose, c'est la peur du tsin, qui est une sorte de sanction divine causée par les actes mal perçus par la société, qu'ils soient volontaires ou non. Et la quatrième chose, c'est l'acceptation du tout comme résultat des actes antérieurs. La croyance fortement implantée dans la pensée malgache en Dieu unique créateur de l'univers a contribué à l'implantation des religions monothéistes comme le christianisme et l'islam à Madagascar. Dans toutes les religions pratiquées dans l'île, le nom de Dieu en langue malgache est resté Zanahar, celui qui a tout créé, comme dans les temps anciens. Ce nom aussi apparaît dans l'hymne national malgache, ce qui signifie que malgré les différentes religions pratiquées dans l'île, les Malgaches prient et adorent le même et unique Dieu. C'est alors un Dieu unificateur de tout un peuple. Pour le Malgache, l'esprit fait l'homme et cet esprit est immortel. Dans la perception populaire, quand une personne meurt, ce n'est guère sa fin. Il change seulement de statut social et a une mission de veiller sur sa descendance. Culturellement, consciemment ou inconsciemment, et ce jusqu'à aujourd'hui, chaque Malgache vit avec ses ancêtres dans sa pensée et dans sa conscience. Cet aspect culturel cohabite normalement avec la religion de tout un chacun. La notion du tsin est assez spécifique dans la pensée malgache. Le tsin est une sorte de malédiction terrible causée par une simple maladresse dans la parole ou les actes de chaque individu. Du coup, avant même de dire ou de faire quoi que ce soit, le malgache conjure le tsin pendant de longues minutes dans un discours. Cet aspect culturel lui impose l'humilité et la tolérance dans son comportement quotidien. Ceci le rend sensible et à l'écoute des autres. En ce qui concerne le tout dit, c'est le constat établi dans la société malgache que tout ce qui nous arrive est le fruit de nos actes antérieurs. En gros, on récolte ce qu'on sème. c'est la loi de la cause à effet. Cette notion aide le malgache à analyser profondément ses actes, à bien réfléchir avant de commettre telle ou telle action, ce qui en théorie, et ce avec la peur de Zanar, devrait l'inciter à faire toujours le bien autour de lui. Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, l'acte constitutif de l'UNESCO stipule que la guerre prenant l'essence dans l'esprit des hommes, c'est dans l'esprit des hommes que doivent être élevées les défenses de la paix. Dans le cas de Madagascar, on peut déduire que la philosophie ancestrale malgache qui a forgé un comportement tolérant et pacifique a contribué à l'élévation de la défense de la paix dans l'esprit des malgaches. En effet, dans l'histoire de Madagascar, il y avait beaucoup de crises sociales et politiques majeures. Mais contrairement à ce qu'on aurait pu voir ailleurs, toutes ces crises ont été résolues d'une manière relativement pacifique. Les protagonistes ont toujours essayé de trouver un moyen pour minimiser les pertes humaines en acceptant de dialoguer sous l'égide des représentants de la communauté internationale ou les anciens de bonne notoriété comme le Conseil œcuménique des Églises chrétiennes à Madagascar. Permettez-moi de dire quelques mots sur la situation actuelle qui prévaut à Madagascar. Comme vous le savez certainement, une crise politique et sociale persiste toujours, et ce depuis 2009. Néanmoins, la paix sociale règne dans toute l'île. Sous l'égide de la communauté internationale, le consensus fut atteint et le dialogue national a abouti sur une feuille de route de sortie de crise qui fut signée par tous les partis politiques de Madagascar. Actuellement, toutes les institutions prévues par cette feuille de route est en place, à savoir le président de la transition, le gouvernement d'union nationale, les deux chambres qui font office de parlement de transition, la comité de la réconciliation nationale, le conseil électoral indépendant qui doit préparer et piloter les élections prévues pour mai 2013. De cette expérience, nous pouvons appuyer ce qui a été déjà dit, que pour pouvoir entamer les dialogues sociaux dans une situation de crise, il faut de part et d'autre beaucoup d'amour, de tolérance, de compréhension, ainsi que d'humilité pour accepter que l'autre en face aussi puisse avoir raison. Le plus important et aussi le plus difficile dans ce processus est la capacité de tout un chacun, non seulement au niveau des dirigeants politiques, mais à tous les niveaux, de pardonner les torts causés par l'autre. Seule la maturité spirituelle de la population peut endiguer toute velléité de vengeance ou règlement de compte et accéder ainsi à une réconciliation véritable. Nous constatons aussi que l'assaut de la globalisation culturelle que nous subissons a fait perdre petit à petit les bonnes valeurs culturelles de la population. Les impacts immédiats sont les changements de comportement de quelques individus qui ne respectent plus ni la vie, ni la nature, ni la société. Certains de ces individus n'ont plus peur du tout. Pour pallier à ces dégradations de comportement, toutes les institutions culturelles et religieuses de l'île ont véhiculé des messages d'amour, de paix, de tolérance et de réconciliation dans laquelle le pardon est primordial. Nous sommes convaincus que seule la volonté réelle de la population de se rapprocher de Dieu, quelle que soit la religion pratiquée et les idées politiques véhiculées, pourrait instaurer le vrai pardon, sinon la réconciliation reste fragile. Pour ce faire, le renforcement de l'éducation civique, culturelle et aussi religieuse, intégrant les bonnes valeurs ancestrales et religieuses, ainsi que les droits universellement reconnus à l'endroit de toutes les couches de la population tout entière, est le seul moyen pour pallier à la résurgence de conflits et préserver ainsi la paix dans un pays multiculturel comme Madagascar. Pour terminer, je tiens à vous dire que je suis très reconnaissant et je rends hommage au vénérable Master Ching Kong qui, de par ses enseignements, m'a appris à mieux pratiquer ma propre religion chrétienne. Thank you very much, Master, and God bless you. Thank you all for your attention.
Most Venerable Master, thank you very much for being with us this morning. I would like to thank you all my colleagues, all the excellencies, the ambassadors of different parts of the world. We are continuing our brainstorming and sharing experience with you tomorrow afternoon. But before concluding this morning session, I would like to give on behalf of this peace-building organization, UNESCO, and on behalf of all the ambassadors, a kind of gift to Master Ching Kong.
the 5 Dhyani Buddhas are called Jhani Buddhas. Dhyana means concentration, because feelings and perceptions should be restrained by following some meditational practices. And finally, the third stage means the development of insight. For that purpose, we need a real understanding of the nature of the world. Otherwise, the personality view or the selfishness cannot be removed. Therefore, Buddhism recommends that we have to understand, or we have to understand the real nature of the world in order to eliminate the selfish ideas. Then the people become common to all. Then, in brief, the above threefold training system in modern terms indicates behavioral therapy means morality, sila, mental therapy means samadhi or concentration, then the cognitive therapy in psychological treatments. But I have to mention here that as advisors, Venerable Dr. Bodhagama Chandima Thera, as well as Dr. Sarada Thera, University of Kelaniya, Postgraduate Institute of Pali and Buddhist Studies, we have started the course for mental well-being of the people by mixing the cultural aspects of Sri Lanka, Buddhism, astrology, Ayurveda or indigenous medicine and rituals. Then for the first time we have established here in this ground one counseling center including all these aspects. If you have leisure time, I invite all of you to go there and have a look, and also you can understand how we treat the people, how we eliminate the mental problems. There are hundreds of people who have got, because our theme is counseling through the cultural context, that we have to enter into the cultural. Without the culture we cannot implement any theories. Therefore, everywhere, wherever we want mental peace or world peace and mental peace are synonymous. There is no difference, because if we want to establish the mental peace, that means we should approach the culture. Then we have to implement all our theories through the culture. Without culture, we cannot implement anything. People will not accept. In every country, they have their own cultures. Then we have to, first of all, we have to understand what are the main elements of their culture. That's how Venerable Mahinda also came to Sri Lanka. But he spent 6 months in India in order to study the cultural background of Sri Lanka. Then they selected what kind of teachings we should impart to the people. I think that is the better way, that's the best way, that we have followed in our counseling system the same way. If we want to do counseling in China, we have to study the cultural context in China. For example, ancient Buddhist missionaries who went to China, I think in the 1st century AD, there were two main religions or philosophies, that means Confucianism and Taoism. Then Buddhism was introduced to China. One scholar mentions that Chinese monk, in a way, symbolically we can say, wearing a Tao hat and wearing a Confucius slippers and wearing a Buddhist garb, Buddhist robe. That's the picture of a Chinese monk that they say. That means they have mixed up very well. I think this concept of world peace by mixing is a very important aspect, because otherwise people are divided into many sections. They argue each other. But we have to unite. In order to unite, we should have a good mind. I think, for example, the Amitabha tradition. According to there are three main original sources in Amitabha tradition: Chula Sukhavati Vyuha, Maha Sukhavati Vyuha, and Amitayur Dhyana. According to Maha Sukhavati Vyuha, the Amitabha Buddha, before he became the Buddha, he was a Buddhist monk. He was a monk. He was called Dharmakara. Then one day, millions of years ago, there was a Buddha called, one Buddha was there, and this monk approached him, and he wanted to become a Buddha. Then he determined that in front of the Buddha, I want to make a world, blissful world, where people can, all kinds of people can be reborn there and experience happiness, only happiness, no suffering, and no death, no birth, nothing. All the time they should experience happiness forever. Such a world he wanted to create. That means he practiced the way and he was able to create. That means according to Amitabha means if Dharmakara, Venerable Dharmakara created the world peace first in his mind, then he spread it towards the world. Then everyone who remembers his name as Amitabha, he can make his mind the world peace. I think that is the better way that we have to do. I think Venerable Dharmakara has given the good example by becoming Buddha Amitabha. I think according to Buddhism, according to Theravada form of Buddhism also, everyone has the nature of becoming a Buddha or world leader. Then I think that idea should inculcate in the minds of the people, and we should take a great courage by going forward, because we have differences, because unity meaningless without differences. That is why there should be differences. Otherwise, people are, because nanatta kaya, nanatta sanya, people are different perceptions, different minds, different cultures, different bodies. It's okay. Differences should be there. We should maintain. We should not go to alleviate all the differences of physical and cultural. We should accept them. We should understand them, but unity in diversity. Diversity, because there is diversity, that is why unity becomes meaningful. If there was no diversity, no need peace, no need unity. That is why I think through these discussions, conferences, we can understand each other's face, that the honorable members of the Senate of UNESCO, they mentioned their faith, their understandings through their explanations. Then we understand their face, their countries, their cultures, but we understood one aspect, because all of them want to unite together to make peace in the world. Then that idea is very important. I think Venerable Dr. Bodhagama Chandima has made a great step, has taken a great step in Manelwatta Institute to start our discussion, is to spread our ideas for unity throughout Sri Lanka and from there to the world. Then I think this program is very important, and I am very thankful to him for giving me this opportunity to talk here, and thank you very much for your patience for listening to my talk. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you, Professor Galman Koda. As you know, in Sri Lanka you have Buddhists, Hindus, Muslims and Christians. We all live in harmony. Today we are talking about religious and cultural approach from a faith perspective. I would now like to invite Professor Somasundaram Kumaraswamy to make a presentation on Hindu religious and cultural approach for peace. After this presentation, if you have any questions based on the two presentations made by who will be making one now and the previous presentation, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them, and the presenters will be very happy to give you the necessary answers.
Religious dignitaries, respected state officials, fellow delegates from the UNESCO, brothers and sisters. Vanakkam, Om Shanti, greetings of peace. I am greeting you with peace. The meaning of Om Shanti in our religion, Hinduism, is I am peaceful. That is a Sanskrit word, Om Shanti, I am peaceful. So when you meet somebody in front, we greet that person by saying Om Shanti. Or in Tamil we call Vanakkam. So the person who received the greeting will repeat Om Shanti or greetings of peace. So from the very first beginning of our meeting, the first greeting is greeting. So I pray earnestly to Lord Shiva, the God Almighty, to bless this conference with all success. Religion is about thanksgiving to God and His creations. I begin with thanking the organizers of this great conference for inviting me to participate at this conference on behalf of the Saivite Hindu community. I also extend my thanks to the Director Department of Hindu Religious and Cultural Affairs for providing me with unique opportunity to take part in this conference and exchange our views. I am confident that the outcome of this conference will definitely help to strengthen the mutual understanding
非常
and
感谢这次呢
unity
让我
among the
们
various
参与这一
religions,
次宗教的论坛
religious,
因为呢
ethnic and
这个论
cultural
坛的
groups
结果呢确实
in
能
Sri
够带
Lanka
给
and elsewhere
带
and
给
also
斯里兰
to
卡
develop
呢还有世界
a
各地
culture
呢
of peace.
和平与和谐
What is Hinduism?
到底什么是新都教呢
Hinduism is very ancient religion
新都教
and cultural tradition originated in India. Long ago. It is the world's oldest living religion, and Hinduism is the name given to the religious, cultural, social, political, and philosophical beliefs which make up the totality of the Hindu way of life. So they say Hinduism is a philosophy, at the same time it is a religion, and also it is a way of life, and that way of life is way of dharmic life, the way of righteous life. What is then the terms Hindu and Hinduism are not indigenous. The foreigners who came to India in the distant past used the term Hindu to denote the people living east of the river Indus, and the term Hinduism to denote their religious faith, a set of traditions, beliefs, and practices. The word Hindu, you may be surprised to know that the ancestors of the present day Hindus never identified themselves as Hindus and their religion as Hinduism. This word is coined very recently. Then what is the traditional name of Hinduism? It is Sanatana Dharma. Sanatana Dharma is the traditional name given to Hinduism by those who practiced this religious faith in the ancient times. It predates recorded history and has no human founder. Sanatana Dharma means eternal values or eternal truth, or you can say eternal law. Sanatana means everlasting, universal. Dharma means, one of the meanings is religion, but there are so many other meanings. That is duty, right action, moral order. So it is a religion, culture, and also a dharmic way of life. That is Sanatana Dharma. No doubt the disciplined life with full awareness of one's rights, duties, obligations, and responsibilities, and practicing them in the day-to-day life with purity of thoughts, words, and deeds definitely promote a culture of peace. So it's very clear as crystal that if in your day-to-day life, if you have purity of thoughts generating, purity in words, that is speech, then in actions, if all these three are pure, peace follows. In short, Sanatana Dharma connotes a universal way of life for all people of the world. There is only one supreme reality. All humans and other living beings come from the one and the only same source, the absolute reality. It is formless, nameless, and attributeless. The goal of life is found inherent within. The attainment of peace is the goal of life, as according to Hinduism, or you can call it Sanatana Dharma. The attainment of peace is the goal of life. Peace, wisdom, freedom, joy and bliss come from the inner self, not from outside. All these are not present outside us. They are all present inside. That is our nature. Self-realization is the only prescribed way to attain this goal of life, that is peace. You cannot learn, you cannot get it from, or you can't import peace. Only thing is you have to sit down and realize and behave properly, and in your conduct, character, in all this life, that you have to be exemplary. It is futile to search for peace in the world, outside. We have been searching for peace outside in the world for the last so many million years. Where there is no peace, you can't get anything out of nothing. There exists a dearth of peace and harmony due to acute erosion of human values and unconcern for spirituality. People are becoming more and more body conscious, worldly conscious, materialistic conscious, and withdrawing from the soul consciousness. That's a whole trouble that we are facing now. Peace is found within us. So we don't go anywhere. It is within us. It is our nature. It has to be brought out through self-realization. Practice Sanatana Dharma in the day-to-day life. Love all, serve all, help ever, hate never. These four is more than sufficient to get peace. I will repeat. Love all, serve all, help ever, hurt never. This leads to peace. The speciality of Hindu or Sanatana Dharma and peace. The speciality of Hindu Dharma is that it respects all creations, assures their fundamental rights to live in peace and harmony, protects all beings as it believes that the God is omnipresent and the whole creation is filled with the presence of God. God is everywhere. The Hindus believe in the fatherhood of God and brotherhood of the humankind. All are kith and kins, and no discrimination whatsoever is possible. Violence of any kind is strictly prohibited. Law of karma, that is a law of action, or you can say the law of cause and effect. It is not only for physics, it is also for religion. We call it karma, that's all. Law of cause and effect operates and no one can escape from it. What one sows, one will reap. There is no exception to this law. The natural justice prevails. The soul reaps fruits, good or bad, in accordance with past and present action, which are experienced either in this present life or in future lives, because we believe in the reincarnation. The Hindu Dharma believes in the rebirth or the transmigration of soul. The cycle of birth and death continues until the soul gets freed from bondages and attains salvation. Salvation is the liberation and rest in eternal peace. So Hinduism recommends to be born in peace, to live in peace, to grow in peace, and even after death we wish let his soul rest at peace. So throughout we need peace. Then the Dharma, righteousness and righteous living, is prescribed not only for the Hindu communities but for the entire humanity. The glorious Hindu culture, the source of peaceful life, wisdom and of illumination, attracted eminent scholars, philosophers, traders, kings and even conquerors from various countries in the past, and even at present it continues to fascinate the world in peace building globally. In an age of globalization, spiritualization also should take place simultaneously. That is, there is no balance between globalization and spiritualization. So, and this must take place simultaneously in the Hindu dharmic way in order to sterilize the ill effects of globalization and protect the world from total annihilation. It is already becoming clear that a chapter which has is a quotation from Dr. Arnold Toynbee, British historian. It is already becoming clear that a chapter which has a Western beginning will have to have an Indian or an Eastern ending. It is, if it is not to end in the self-destruction of the human race. What does it show? There should be a balance, an equitable balance between globalization and spiritualization. At this supremely dangerous moment in history, the only way of salvation for mankind is the Indian way. That is the balance of globalization plus spiritualization. By Indian way, it is meant the Hindu Dharma or the Sanatana Dharma. The Hindu Dharma concentrates fully on the individual to build the mind, to mold the spirit, and to increase the worth of a person by inner values. Hindu Dharma reveals the real values of life through its holy scriptures, the Vedas, Agamas, Idihasas, Puranas, and in Tamil, the 12 Tirumuragal, Tirukkural, Mehanda Sastrangal, etc., and other holy books. George Bernard Shaw, you would have heard about him, once remarked about Hindu dharmic way of life as follows. The Indian way of life provides the vision of the natural, real way of life. We veil ourselves with unnatural masks. On the face of India are the tender expressions which carry the mark of the Creator's hand. Now the religion for peace. Religion to the Hindus means not only the eternal search for the God, that is truth, or you can say reality, to attain the ultimate goal of life, namely the liberation from the cycle of births and deaths called moksha, but an excellent way of life, guiding its adherents to lead an exemplary, good, moral, peaceful, and cultured life without hurting anybody's feeling and harming anybody's life or properties in this mundane world. As Swami Vivekananda said, religion is the manifestation of divinity already in man. He also has given a definition for education, because it is through education. He said, education is the manifestation of perfection inherent in man. So according to Swami Vivekananda, this divinity, spirituality, and perfection all within us. Only thing is, we'll have to express it outside, elicit outside. Here the divinity refers to the divine qualities. So we need to go and say that this is which God, this God, that God. No, that is immaterial. Now, what do you mean by divinity? What do you mean by spirituality within means the divine qualities of, or the divine values of life. Some of them I am mentioning here. Love, truthfulness, honesty, justice, peace, purity, non-violence, righteousness, compassion, sympathy, empathy, forgiveness, tolerance, forbearance, austerity, contentment, etc. These are all permanent values of life, whether we are from the Occident or from the Orient. These qualities are divine and spiritual. These universal values and divine virtues which Hindu Dharma or the Sanatana Dharma has been upholding from time immemorial have continued through passage of time unchanged and unaltered up to the present day. The words religion and dharma carry the same meaning. In the Sandhi Parva of Mahabharata, the grandsire Bhishma, you would have heard about him, said, Dharma was declared for the advancement of growth of all creatures. Therefore, what brings on advancement and growth is Dharma. Then again he says, it is well known that without peace, no growth or development. Tirukkural, they are all in Tamil language. Now most of them have been translated into various languages. So here, the Saivam, the great saints and teachers who fostered Saiva principles were opposed to the caste system. That is one of the main items. And all other types of social inequalities and discrimination. So the Saivite Hindus are against this. They recognize the prevalence of diversities in the world as natural, and they accepted all diversities and were trying to find unity in diversity. In this peace is fostered in the Periyapuranam. That's an example. Now, unity in variety is the plan of nature. Now you can't, there is nothing which is unity. Everything you find all diverse. So in this diverse globe, unity in variety is the plan of nature. Nature's plan is to have diverse aspects in nature. But the only thing is we must see the unity among them. Saivism is fully conformity with this statement. Saivism is really a religion with universal outlook, guiding the entire humanity to fulfill its spiritual needs, enabling the people to live in peace and tranquility in this mundane world. Saivism is broad-based, life-centered, and spirituality-oriented. Spirituality is knowledge and experience, skill and values that could be applied to the situations in life. Spirituality widens one's own mental horizon and makes one broad-minded. Now, again I am quoting from Vivekananda. Religion is the idea which is raising the brute, that is animals, unto man, and man unto God. There are three levels, from animality to humanity to divinity. So religion is the idea which is, it is not, we are changing or transferring from a animal to man and all this. That is an evolution. So religion is the idea which is raising the brute, that is brutal qualities, unto man, human qualities, and later to God, spiritual qualities. The statement is more suited to the Saivite Hinduism. It is a religion, philosophy, a way of life. Now there are four dimensions of human personality development, namely physical, mental, intellectual, and spiritual. This religion caters to all the development. Now, what is the Saiva views of peace? The Saiva view of peace is universal. About 2000 years ago, Sangam Tamil classic Purananuru proclaimed to the whole world. About 2000 years ago, at the time, the classical Tamil literature, there is a saying, Yadum Ure Yavarum Kedir, that is in Tamil, meaning the whole world is my abode and all people are my kith and kin, my relations. See, this sort of proclamation was done about 2000 years ago in South India, that is Tamil Sangam. Saivaism is echoed and re-echoed the sentiments of peace and harmony and well-being of all, irrespective of denomination, creed, color, religion, culture, or country, whatever to which they belong. Now we wish like this, blessings and all that like this. Let there be peace and prosperity for all. If you go to the wedding, if you go to some function, if you go to the temple, we wish them well. So that is, let there be peace and prosperity for all. Loga samasta shukino bhavantu. May God bless all with peace and prosperity, the entire world. So at the end of the puja in the temple, we bless the entire world. Loga samasta sukhino bhavantu. That is, may God bless all with peace and prosperity. Om Shanti. I explained to you. The Tirukkural, the holy text, preaches positive love, forgiveness, peace, and Saivaism says, love is God and God is love. So if you are non-believer in God, you will leave it. God is love, and love is God. That is according to Saivaism. Those people who are not in conformity with what God, all these things, they will say in our religion, we say it is love. Love all, that is, you are worshipping God. Truth is God. Practice truth. God is truth. Peace is God. Then God is peace. Perfection is God, and God is perfection. Justice is God. God is justice. Beauty is God. Wherever there is beauty, there is order and discipline. If everything is in a very disciplined way, you say how beautiful it is. So, beauty is God and God is beauty. Goodness is God and God is goodness. So, we are worshipping. If you want, you can worship the God. Otherwise, at different levels, worship love, truth, perfection, justice, peace, beauty, and goodness. Worshipping means give respect to these things and practice. So, in conclusion, according to Saivite Hinduism, each human is potentially divine. The main function of religion is manifestation of the divinity inherent in the humans. Manifesting divinity means manifesting divine and spiritual qualities or values of life that are noble. They are universal values such as love, truth, peace, perfection, and so on. Hindus perform temple rites and rituals, daily pujas, and all religious observances, for daily prayers for the benefit and welfare of all beings, not for selfish motive. At the end of the religious observances, they pray for the welfare and peace for the whole world. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Saivite Hinduism names the God Almighty as Shivam, which is synonymous to love, truth, perfection, peace, beauty, etc. Saint Tirumura says, the ignorant ascribes that love and Shivam are two. So the ignorant people will say love and Shivam are separate things. None knows that love and Shivam are one. It is true that love and Shivam are one and the same. There are diversities among people, but they are all rooted in universal love or Shivam. The presence of Shivam, embodiment of love and peace in each and all, unites the humanity. All human relationships exist because of the spiritual unity. Hinduism is liberal and broad-minded in respect of other religions, and as such, it recognizes, respects multi-religiosity and multiculturalism, universal based on spiritual unity. So once again, I express my heartfelt thanks to all of you, the organizers, this forum, for allowing me to speak for some time and giving you a patient hearing. Thank you very much. May God bless you.
Well, before we break for tea, if you have any questions or issues where you need any clarification, please raise your hand and I will send somebody with the roaming mic. The question, I would appreciate if you can keep the question as short as possible, and please raise your hand if you have any questions to ask. I think gentleman over there.
I would, Chairman, I would like to pose a question. I am a professor of medicine, a criminal lawyer in this country, and I travel the world to teach medicine. My question is, when I go around the world, go to 120 countries to teach new medicine, I find absolute poverty, degradation, misery of human beings. I treat people free of charge. So when I see this, the world is full of violence. There is total destabilization of the world. There is vast majority of the people live in absolute poverty, misery and degradation. Now, I have studied deeply all three religions, and I do practice in my life. Question is this: what is the solution? These people who are engaged in religious activities, what is the solution they will offer to the suffering humanity?
Well, Professor Galman Gode will handle that.
I think it's a very important question that he raised, because of the time constraint, we did not explain in detail. But however, according to Buddhism, there is only one solution. That means every discipline, that means education, politics, economy, and everything should be in conformity with the three stages that I mentioned. That means morality, concentration, and wisdom. But you may think that this is very religious, purely religious. No. I take it for example, it is when we call morality, concentration, and wisdom, it is the highest level. But in an ordinary level, if we take, I give one simple example. Suppose without these three aspects, we cannot do anything properly. I will prove this. Suppose that a teacher goes to the classroom to give the knowledge. That means, my argument is that without morality and concentration, she cannot give the knowledge to the student. For example, let us say, now we forget religion. Just we take the elements. The teacher goes to the class. The children are talking and moving. Then can she give the knowledge? Cannot. Therefore, she says, be silent. Right? Then that means, according to Buddhism, morality means kaya vachanang samodhanang silang. Verbal and physical restrainment is called sila. That is sila. That is morality. Then first of all, then but still the teacher knows, now the students are not talking. Then she says, don't move. Then they are silent. Then they are not moving. That is, morality is now finished, because they are restrained physically and verbally. They are not talking, not moving. That is the morality, what we call in Buddhism in the ordinary level. But still the teacher cannot give the lesson, because teacher knows their minds are scattered. Therefore, the next step, concentration, means one-pointedness. Then the teacher says, attention please. That is concentration. That is one-pointedness of mind. That is the second stage. Then she teach the lesson. That is the knowledge. That is the morality, concentration, and wisdom. This is common to all. Now, unfortunately, in modern ways, especially in some dictionaries, if we go to the medical dictionary, Oxford Medical Dictionary, there is the word mind. Everything is material, right? That is why, therefore, mind is not the outcome of materiality, but mind should be accepted as a phenomena, as a reality. That is why, therefore, I think mentality should be given the first place. That is actually that Venerable Chong Kung also emphasizes that education should be moral based. That is the first thing. Without that, we cannot eliminate the crisis throughout the world. That's the one.
Well, thank you, Professor Galman Gode. Any more questions? Yes, lady over there. Can you send the mic, please? Please keep the question as short as possible, because we have to break for tea.
You also mentioned that I can raise an issue or make my own idea, to the house. I would like to quote first from Kathleen Bogaya, the president of UNESCO, when she said religious extremism. I thought it's a very useful term, which I would, in my question or in my comment, I will use that. Then the representative from the whole is C. He said identity is not a sickness. That is also very, very important statement for the day. And then Nigerian representative said media pipers. Now my comment is, I know I heard from several delegates here that there is a misconception, especially in foreign delegates all over the world, that Sri Lanka had a religious war between Hindus and the Buddhists. Totally fabricated. What the Nigerian representative said, pipers, they are the international pipers who made this fabrication that we had a religious war between the Hindus and the Buddhists. You can ask Dr. Subramaniam, it's not a religious war at all. The Hindus are very innocent. I would say, I am a Sinhalese Buddhist. I would say the Buddhist, Tamil Hindus are far more innocent than the Buddhist, Sinhalese Buddhists. So I wanted to put that straight, that it is not, it was just a terrorist outfit. Liberation Tigers were a terrorist outfit, killing their own people first. The Tamils, Hindus, Christians, Tamil Christians, and the Sinhalese. I think they killed Tamil Hindus as many as the Sinhalese. They killed Sinhalese. So let me dispel that misconception. Thank you very much for giving me this time.
Thank you for your comments. Any other questions before we break for tea? Okay, it looks as if there are no questions, and obviously you would rather have tea. So the tea is now being served. After tea, we will proceed to the hall where there will be a sermon, a presentation by Venerable Ching Kung. After tea, that sermon will take place in the other hall on my right. So please help yourself for tea.
尊敬的诸位法师，尊敬的诸位大师，诸位嘉宾，诸位同学，在我们讲话之前，强定马哈斯，让我带大家做一个三皈依，大家跟着我念，是皈依是此不长，皈依佛，二足尊，皈依法，地狱尊，皈依僧，众众尊。我们要念3遍哈，皈依佛，二足尊， 皈依法，利益真，皈依僧，众众生，皈依佛，二足尊，皈依法，利益真，皈依僧，众众生。
Atau sama sekali yang memang tidak pernah manusia. Ayo.